absolutely.
Alexa, you're able to do that?
Yes, it's going to start recording now.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So again, just to sort of reiterate what I already covered, Omnia Partners as a company, I think two of the things that set us apart from some of the other organizations out there, one are the resources that we have available to you, resources like me, and two, just the depth of the number of cooperative contracts we have in our portfolio. As I was saying, data and technology is, a big one. And as I said, I think you're going to see something really big from us here in the next year or two that is really going to be a game changer. More to that coming here. Let's talk about cooperative purchasing overview. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with cooperative purchasing. There may be some newer folks on the call that aren't as familiar with cooperatives and sort of how they work. In my opinion, not all cooperatives are created equal. And I really feel like, again, one of the things that separates us from some of the other organizations out there is our process and the way that we get to a contract. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here in the next slide. But some of the benefits of cooperative purchasing include reducing agency admin burden, time and resources, opportunity for greater efficiencies and economies of scale. Obviously, when you're purchasing goods and services at a national level through a co-op, you're typically going to get better pricing than you would at a local level. And that speaks to number three, product cost savings through nationally leveraged pricing. There's absolutely no cost to agencies to participate. And you will find Omnia Partners has first-class suppliers available to you. And in some cases, some exclusive suppliers that you won't find with other cooperatives like Cintas, like Home Depot, like Train. Those are really top tier suppliers that are exclusive to Omnia Partners that you're not going to find with other cooperatives. Eligible agencies that can utilize Omnia Partners public sector portfolio include cities and towns, counties, state agencies, universities and colleges, K through 12 school districts, special districts like housing authorities, airports, water districts, and nonprofits. For me, I am responsible for local, municipal, and K through 12 in the entire state of Florida. So Omnia Partners public sector overview, talking about the history of Omnia Partners. I mentioned earlier on the call, you may recognize names like U.S. Communities and National IPA and TCPN. We are now all of those organizations under one roof. And we've actually added to that very recently, and I'm gonna talk about that towards the end of the call here. Some exciting news. Omnia Partners public sector, we are a leading cooperative purchasing organization for public agencies and educational institutions across the United States. We have over 200 combined years of public procurement experience in our organization, and over 300 years of combined experience in cooperative purchasing in our organization. So there's a lot of people in our organization that have been around cooperative purchasing and public procurement for a very, very, very long time. And as I said, the team that I have behind me that helps support me, the depth and experience is pretty incredible. Let's talk a little bit about how we get to, this is the numbers. So we have over 234,000 active participants that utilize our portfolio across the country. This says 350 plus cooperative contracts. I think we're well over 400 at this point. Participant growth since 2013, that number really needs to be updated, but participant growth is around 300% since 2013. And this says 38 lead public agencies. We actually have closer to 50 now, I think. But we're going to talk a little bit about that process here in a minute. Participation by segment, you'll see local government and primary education are well over 50% of what we do in public sector, which is uh, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with our website. Towards the end of the call here, we're going to jump out to the website and look at a few things and maybe help you give you a better understanding of what is on our website and some of the resources available to you. I'm going to talk about the lead agency solicitation process here. So compliance, right? So you obviously want to be sure that you are using a cooperative contract that is compliant. That really is a super important keyword, right? So one of the things that separates us from some other organizations out there is our process. We do know that there are other organizations out there that act as their own lead agency and do their own solicitations and awards. Omnia Partners has a different process. We will partner with a lead public agency. That lead public agency will actually go through that contracting process. It is all of our contracts have been competitively solicited and publicly awarded by a lead agency. Understand that the lead agency owns that contract, not Omnia Partners. I'll give you an example. City of Tamarack. City of Tamarack has a contract through Office Depot. City of Tamarack owns that contract, not Omnia Partners. And so the lead agency would go through the process you see here. I'm not going to go through every step because I'm sure you all are very familiar with this. But two key points to remember is the lead agency owns that process. We do not, and I want to make this very clear, we do not have a seat at the table when it comes to selecting suppliers, when it comes to making an award. We do not have any involvement in that process at all. That is all up to the lead agency. And all solicitation and award documentation is posted on our website. If you've ever been to our website, you will see that all of our contract documentation is public facing. Anyone can access it at any time. There's no need for logins or passwords. It's all public facing. And it's all right there. And we do a very good job, in my opinion, of updating that when there are new contract amendments or updates to a contract. We will post those on the website just as quickly as possible. But in my opinion, this is one of the things that separates us from some other organizations out there when it comes to transparency. As I said, we help guide that process, but we do not, as I said, have a seat at the table when it comes to selecting suppliers or making an award. That is all up to the lead agency. And as I said, the lead agency ultimately owns that contract. Some of our lead agencies include City of Tucson, Miami-Dade County. I mentioned City of Tamarack, University of California. I'm sure you recognize many of these names. And for us, it's obviously very important for us to find good lead agency partnerships. We will not work with just anyone. It has to be a good fit for both the agency and for us. And I think over the years we've developed some incredible lead agency relationships. Some of the contract categories that we have available, there's a lot of them. Everything from automotive parts to roofing to technology, HVAC, furniture, facilities and MRO. As you can see, whatever you may need relative to goods and services, we have a contract available for it, and it's typically going to be a top tier supplier. Some of the industry leading suppliers we do have available, and I'm sure you recognize a lot of these names, like Graybar, like Office Depot and Grainger and Home Depot. And as I said earlier on the call, some of these suppliers are exclusive to Omnia partners. You will not find them with another cooperative. So what's new with Omnia? I am really excited to talk about this on this call today. Job order contracting. I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with JOC or Broward County has a JOC program. But we have a new contract available. Pinellas County Schools is the lead agency. This is a state-specific contract. It is for Florida only. And I am very excited about this because I think this is going to be a great opportunity for agencies around Florida that aren't really familiar with JOC or job order contracting. And as I said, this is a state-specific contract, so it's for Florida only. And so some of the things that separates this contract from other JOC contracts out there. One, I mentioned Pinellas County Schools. We have a Florida lead public agency on this contract, which is a big deal. For those of you that are familiar with NIGP and Joe Benjamin, Joe Benjamin is the director of purchasing for Pinellas County Schools. He is somewhat of an expert when it comes to job order contracting, and I'm very excited that we're able to partner with him and Pinellas County Schools on this contract. He is a fantastic resource when it comes to JOC. And so this contract, I think, is going to be a big hit in Florida. One of the other things that separates this contract, I think, from some others out there is there's federal language in it that was done on the front end during the solicitation in terms of FEMA funds and ESSER funds. That's something that was done on the front end during the solicitation. The other thing is we did a lot of outreach for MWBE. That was also something that was done on the front end. And so I think what we have is a JOC contract that is, going to be extremely flexible for lead agencies. Agencies around Florida. So if there's an opportunity to talk specifically with anyone at Broward County about this contract specifically, please let me know. I'd be happy to set aside some time to do that. The other thing I want to mention, National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, NCPA. Omnia Partners just recently purchased NCPA. That organization is now under Omnia Partners umbrella. All contracts that are available through NCPA can now be utilized by all of our Omnia Partners members. Some new suppliers include Dell, TD SYNNEX, ABM, Wayfair Professional. Long list of new, very top tier suppliers here with NCPA. Also very excited about that. A lot of added value there for our members when it comes to other contract opportunities that are available for agencies around Florida. So that's new. That literally just happened just a couple of weeks ago, and we're pretty excited about that. So that's what's new with Omnia. I'm going to jump out here to our website and show you a little bit about our website. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with our website. In the public sector, as I mentioned, we serve state government, local government, higher education, K through 12, and nonprofits. If you're familiar with our website, you're all familiar with the contracts tab where all the contracts are listed. If you hover over the contracts tab like I'm doing now, you'll see that some categories are broken out. So you can find that information a little bit quicker. I'm going to jump out to IT here. And so we've actually broken this down even further. If you're looking for something specific, whether it be hardware, software, cloud solutions, whatever it is, I would like to think that our website's pretty user-friendly. But as you can see, everything is listed here. It is all public facing. If you click on the,
we're not, I'm sorry, we're not seeing your website. We're still seeing the presentation.
you are. Hold on. Let me. All right, let's try this again. It may be my internet. I'm actually at a hotel in Miami here, and the internet is not fantastic. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's start over. If you're all familiar with our website, you've been to our website, you know all the contracts are listed under the contracts tab. If you hover over the contracts tab, you'll see some other categories broken out that you can just jump to easily and quickly. I jumped to information technology. If you go here, you can see that it's broken out a little bit more, hardware, software, cloud solutions, whatever it is you may be looking for. This will help you find it a little bit faster. But as I said, everything here is listed. It's all public facing. If you click on the hyperlink, it will take you to the supplier's microsite and contract documentation. As you can see, all the documentation is listed here. If you ever have questions about specific contracts or specific suppliers, if you're looking for something specific and you can't find it on our website, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. That is really what I'm here for, and I want to be a resource for you all. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I'm going to put up my contact information here in just a minute. If you're ever wondering what we're working on, I don't know if any of you have ever looked at the solicitations tab, but if you're ever wondering what we're looking at and what we're working on, if you click on the solicitations tab, it will give you a pretty good idea of what we're looking at and what we're working on. So if you're ever, doing planning, 12, 18 months down the road, and you want to know what Omnia is working on, and if there's something that's coming up that might be useful to you, this would be a good place to go. One other thing I want to point out is the resources tab. I don't know if any of y'all have ever visited the resources tab. One of the things I want to point out here is our blog. I would encourage you all to sign up for our blog. You can actually sign up for this and tell us how often you would like to receive it, whether it's immediately, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever. And you can decide how often you would like to receive that. But there is a lot of very good industry information on our blog. And when you sign up, you can let us know how often you'd like to receive those notifications. But great resource, a lot of good information. Other resources like state-specific resources, cooperative purchasing events. I'll tell you, as a company, we attend over 400 events around the United States every year. Those are all listed on our website. And so I really just want to point out that our website is more than just a list of contracts. There are some pretty good resources here. So if you're ever curious, dig a little deeper, and you might find some good information. But definitely encourage you to sign up for the blog. Any questions about the website specifically?
There are some questions in the chat, Matt. I don't know if you want to dive into that as yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out of this here. I want to actually show you. I want to put up my contact information for everybody. Um,
And I'd like to invite anyone who has any questions, if you can go ahead and type those in the chat as well.
where did it go? There we go. So there's my contact information. Again, I want to be a resource for you all. If you ever have questions about specific contracts or suppliers, or if you're looking for something specific and you can't find it on our website, please don't hesitate to reach out. That is what I'm here for.
Okay, so the first question is, how are
Mhm.
regional pricing variances taken into account?
Pretty local,
I'm sorry.
based, right?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I think I recall you're regionally based, so you may not be local, but you're in the area, right?
For me, I live in Florida. I actually live in Naples, and I cover the entire state of Florida. So me personally, I am only responsible for Florida. Um,
Okay.
Others in my organization that are in my position typically have multiple states that they have to cover. I only do Florida, and I do local municipal K through 12, and I work with the 150 biggest agencies in the state of Florida.
So are you working with Broward County Schools or the Broward Sheriff's Office or?
Yeah. All the
Okay,
above. Yep.
all right, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, so there's some questions in the chat. The first one is, how are regional pricing variances taken into account?
That's a pretty broad question, and I'm not sure I understand what it is they're asking. I mean,
So that was me, and I think, so for example, roofing.
yep.
You have a lot of commodity variances in pricing from one region to another. So if Los Angeles has a contract for roofing, that might be fine for the market in LA County. But in terms of South Florida and the prices for roofing materials and so forth, there are probably going to be some price variances in materials, uh, transportation, installation, from labor, so forth. So, you know, they can they can negotiate a price schedule for LA County, but how's that going to work in South Florida?
Yep. That's a
That's
very
what I
good
mean.
question. And so I- I'm I'm not 100% sure how to answer that, but I do know that, from a cooperative purchasing standpoint, when it comes to national pricing, you are typically getting better pricing than you would on a local level, only because you're leveraging the buying power of 500 agencies versus just yours.
Okay,
Um,
thanks. I appreciate that. And if you find anything more, just let me know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so my other answer to that question would be related to only because you brought up roofing as an example. The jock contract that I mentioned previously that is exclusive to the state of Florida, when it comes to roofing specifically, I would suggest utilizing that vehicle only because, to answer your question, you're getting more localized pricing. What we did with that contract, and another thing that separates that contract from others out there is it is region based. We basically took the state of Florida and divided it up into 10 regions. Um, Obviously, the Panhandle doesn't want to pay Miami prices, and back and so on and so forth. So the way we addressed that was by dividing the state up into 10 regions, and pricing is based on the region. So I think you're going to find that that's going to be more in line with the local market. Does
Yeah, thank you.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
The next question is, what's the role of Omnia in the contracting process?
It's a great question. So again, to go back to that process, the lead agency really, it is their process. And so we are there to help, guide them, help them build a contract that is going to be beneficial to all public agencies, not just theirs. So in terms of our role, we are there to guide, to advise. As I mentioned earlier on the call, we do not have a seat at the table when it comes to selecting, making an award, deciding which suppliers get that award. We have no involvement with that at all. But we are there to guide and advise. We want to make sure that we end up with a contract that is useful and beneficial to all agencies, not just the agency doing that solicitation.
Thank you.
Okay, and is there an amendment process to allow us to incorporate our own necessary terms and conditions, security requirements, etc., into the lead agency's contracts?
Yes, absolutely, and that's a fantastic question, and that question comes up a lot. You can and I suggest and recommend this to all agencies, you can overlay a local agreement with your own terms and conditions and your own whatever you want it. As long as you and the supplier both agree to it, there is no issue with that at all. And in fact, we would typically recommend that you do that because a lot of times the cooperative contract, in terms of the legal language, if there were ever any sort of you know legal stuff going on, it's typically going to take place in another state, and you obviously don't want that. You want that to take place in the state of Florida. So one way to address that is to overlay a local agreement between you and the supplier, and incorporate the cooperative contract into that local agreement. And again, provided that you and the supplier both agree, that will never be an issue.
Okay, thanks. And it's kind of a follow-on to that question. So to the extent, is it able to, so let's say that we're using LA County's contract for roofing or whatever, and we're able to obtain better pricing than what the lead agency's contract pricing schedule allows for. Can we, under the contract, receive pricing that is less than what is in the contract?
Yes, that's
Okay,
fantastic. That's a fantastic question.
thank you.
Typically the contracts that we have, and we'll use the trades as an example, Bob, because you mentioned roofing. Typically, the pricing that you're seeing in those contracts, it's not to exceed pricing. So if a supplier wants to give you better pricing than what's in the agreement, that is absolutely, you can do that, and obviously that would be to your benefit. It is just in the contract, they can't exceed that pricing within the contract. They can certainly do it for less, but they can't do it for more.
Does the lead agency have a role in administration of these, or is there a reporting requirement? We need to let LA County or Fairfax or anybody know that, we have a problem, we have a dispute, or any issues like that?
Yeah, and Bob, that's a really good question. So anytime there's a problem or dispute, we want to know about it because we want to be involved. One of our roles at Omnia Partners is to be sure that the supplier is doing what they said they would do, that the supplier is abiding by the terms of the contract, and that you, the end user, Broward County, is satisfied with that. And if there is ever an issue or problem, we want to know about it because we want to help you solve that problem.
But you're not a
Um,
party to the contract, right?
while we are not, we are named the cooperative in the master agreement, but we are not a party to the contract. And
Mhm.
so what we would do, Bob, is get all parties together in a room and say, hey,
Okay,
what is the issue? Let's work this out.
understood.
That's
Okay,
really what we would do, in a case like that. We'd bring it, if necessary, we'd bring in a lead agency, but I think from the start it would be just the supplier, us, and you. And if we need to take it to the lead agency to add an amendment to the contract or something like that, then yes, that's something we can certainly do.
okay, thanks.
Okay, and another question we have here, how are any contracts we decide we may use incorporated into our own e-procurement system or catalogs to source from?
I'm not sure I can answer that question because I'm not familiar with your systems and how you all do that. So I don't know, Bob or someone else. I don't know if there's anyone else on the call that might have a good answer for that.
Yeah, usually we have punch out catalogs. So if we're deciding to use a contract, we would, it would be, within our email or marketplace within our solution so that a user could go in, requisition, punch out to whatever contract we're using. They could pick, choose, select, and then punch back to our e-procurement solution. So we can talk offline about that. All right,
Yep.
thanks.
Okay, another question is, how does Omnia advise and guide a lead agency that may have more stringent local ordinances than other agencies that want to participate in that cooperative contract?
That's a good question. And so one of the things that, obviously I'm going to tell every single agency that, you need to do your own due diligence relative to whatever contract you may want to utilize. Um, Really, when we're going through the contracting process, we do our best to help the lead agency, check all of those boxes that are going to make that contract as flexible as possible, so as many agencies as possible can use it. There are certain cases where, as stated in the question, where, that lead agency may have more stringent guidelines, and it may be more difficult for other agencies to utilize that agreement. And so in situations like that, we may need to go back to the lead agency and create an amendment in order for certain agency to be able to utilize that contract. We can and have done that in the past. Um, if there is a roadblock to an agency using a specific contract, we want to know about it. We want to know what it is, and we want to do our best to help remove that roadblock for you.
Okay, and what percentage of client agencies that Omnia assists in cooperative procurements charge a fee to the participating agencies of those agencies that desire to piggyback on the co-op?
So I mean, in terms of agencies utilizing our contracts, I mean, there's no cost to the agency to utilize any of our contracts. That cost is paid by the supplier, not the agency.
Okay, so another question, how are we notified of any amendments to a contract we piggyback off of if we are not involved in the amendment process? Amendments, for example, relating to name changes, terms and condition changes, etc.
That's a fantastic question. And unfortunately, there really isn't a mechanism in place to notify people that notify agencies that are using a specific contract. Um, Boy, I wish there was a mechanism in place for that. It really is incumbent upon the agency to, one, do their due diligence on a contract, and two, check in on that every now and then and see if there are any updates or any new amendments or updated pricing or anything like that. It really is up to the agency utilizing that contract to kind of follow up on that. And again, if there are ever any questions around that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Again, I want to be a resource for you all, and I want to do, whatever I can to help you all. Obviously, make it easier for you to utilize our cooperative contracts.
So can I ask a quick follow-up question to Jackie's that was just asked? So to the extent the lead agency, let's say that, I don't know, they change their name, or there's, a buyout, or, I mean, things happen within the contract. And so notifying the users, either through you or directly from them, to the extent that they know what entities are using their contract, that would be good to know, particularly with regards to, debarments, suspensions, issues that happen,
Yep.
or they decide to terminate the contract, or add to the schedule of services or products that are delivered under that contract. It would be ideal for the lead agency to have a communication channel either through you to us or directly to us, to the extent that they are the administrator or the manager of the base contract.
Yep. I
Something
agree
to
with you. I agree with you, Bob. And
something to mark for study, maybe.
yep, no, and I agree with you 100%. And unfortunately, at this time, there is just no good mechanism to do that. As I said, technology wise, I think in the next year or two, you're going to see something really big from us that I feel is going to be a game changer. And I think you may find an answer to your question in that. But at this time, they're
Are
really
you
just.
teasing? Are you teasing us?
I am definitely teasing you, Bob. Yep,
It's really big. Okay,
it's going to be big. Yes, it's going to be big.
thanks. All right.
And you and I can talk about it a little bit more here the next time we meet, but it's really not for public consumption at this point. But
Understood. Thanks.
it's going to be big. But yeah, you bring up a good point. And so because of the number of contracts we have and the number of agencies utilizing those contracts, it's very difficult to put a mechanism in place to do what you're asking. And so in a perfect world, we would love to be able to just push a button and everybody knows about it. If something comes down, Bob, that is going to affect a contract from a legal perspective, you can bet your butt we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that agencies know about it. But when it comes to amendments and price changes and things like that, that's not um, it's not as important as a legal issue. Obviously, when it comes to legal issues, we want to be sure that those are front and center and we address those immediately.
Well,
But
especially renewals, if
yep,
something's going to be renewed, we need to know. And if the lead entity decides not to renew, that's important too.
yeah, I agree.
All right.
So as I said, Bobby, it is incumbent upon you and other agencies that are utilizing these contracts that you kind of track them and, sort of check in on them every now and then. And again, use me as a resource. That's really what I'm here for. If you have specific questions about a contract and you're wondering what's going on with it, let me know. I'd be happy to dig into it for you.
Thank you. I think we're up against time.
We are. We are. Any other questions that didn't get answered? If you want to stay on the call, we can, or you can just email them to me and I will respond accordingly.
Those are all the questions I see in the chat, Matt. So
Okay.
I believe Christine was asked to go ahead and close out.
Hi, thank you. Matt, nice to meet you. Did a great presentation for us today. And I'm really happy with all of the interest demonstrated through the questions that we posed. Thank you. We look forward to more of a collaboration with Omnia in the future and exciting changes on the horizon.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for your time. I appreciate it very much. And please don't hesitate to reach out with questions.
Thank you, Matt. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.